This is Lorenzo, and this is the Training Routines Taxonomy video series, lesson number 7. It's on the run complex, which is our third routine in the series. It's a metabolic conditioning routine designed to help you unlock 2 of the 30 fitness benchmarks that we discussed. One in the speed category, the other in the endurance category, using only 5 exercises, or what we call our MSP exercise protocol. See you inside. This is the third of 5 lower body hip routines and one of a total of 16 routines, as you already know. To the left of our matrix, the routine type and focus of the video is the running complex. It is a metabolic conditioning routine focused on helping you develop maximal speed and endurance. And together with the balance track, the squat complex and the cycle complex, help you master sagittal hip locomotive power. As with all properly constructed exercise protocols, they need a coherent training plan based on objectives, strategy, and tactics. As previously mentioned, the objective for the running complex is to help you achieve 2 of the 30 fitness benchmarks. The first is a benchmark of speed, the 200-meter sprint. If you are a female recreational athlete, your goal is to do 200-meter sprints below 45 seconds. And for the males, below 32 seconds. This translates into a speed of 6.25 meters per second for the guys, and for the girls, 4.4 meters per second. A standard you never want to fall below. So you want your time to come down, but you want your meters per second to go up. For our second objective, we have the 3-kilometer time trial, which is an objective of glycolytic endurance. For the recreational male athletes, your goal is to do it within 12 minutes and 30 seconds. And for the females, below 14 minutes. For the guys, this translates into a 4.1 minute per kilometer pace. And for the ladies, a 4.6 minute per kilometer. Now, whether you focus on your 200-meter sprint for your speed or your 3-kilometer run for your endurance, our strategy is going to be very similar for both, since they share very similar biomechanical requirements. Whether we're running or sprinting, we need ankle hip extension mobility. Specifically, we need hip flexor mobility and plantar flexion elasticity for maximum force production. So whether we're chronically immobile or just acutely stiff, our exercise protocol has to include some degree of hip and ankle extension work. Next, and for our second consideration, whether we're running or sprinting, we need to learn to transmit forces efficiently from the lower body to the upper body while keeping a very stable core. We need to be stable enough to have control, but also loose and dynamic enough to efficiently transmit those forces. As for our third and final strategic consideration, we need to make sure that our exercise protocol develops the requisite ankle, hip, and knee or triple extension propulsion power in order for us to achieve both our 3-kilometer time trial and 200-meter sprint benchmarks. As for our tactics, which refers to the ideal environment we need to implement our strategy, we need an open training space for our mobility and stability prep work. And of course, we need an outdoor area to do our sprints and our 3-kilometer time trial. The equipment that we'll need is a mat and a jump rope. So now, with our objective and strategy in mind and our tactics in place, we're finally ready to explore and implement our 3-part MSP exercise protocol as it relates to the run complex. So for our first 2 exercises in the mobility category, serving as our warm-up, we have the hip spin-up for our first exercise, followed by the static twist. We then move on to our stability complex. And for our third exercise, we have a total body dynamic joint mobilization exercise, followed by jump rope, preparing us for our 5th and final exercise, which is either our 200-meter sprint or 3-kilometer time trial. The hip spin up, which serves as our first mobility and warm-up exercise. As we saw in the previous 2 routines, the hip spin up is a hip extension, as well as a hip flexion, and also a hip external rotation, mobility staple, which, and depending on your mobility status, your body temperature, or just personal preference, you want to spend 3 to 5 minutes on each leg. The static twist is a spinal rotational static hold designed to help you open up the hips, torso, as well as the shoulder, which you'll hold for at least 3 minutes per side. As we already saw, the hip spin up prepares and opens the hips. The static twist prepares, opens, rotates the spine. Together, the hip spin up and static twist serves as our mobility warm-up, lasting no longer than 15 minutes, and helps us to fulfill our hip, ankle, and even our spinal mobility requirements for more efficient running and sprinting force production. Moving on to our stability complex, or our third exercise, which is a total body dynamic mobilization exercise, as we can see here. While not a true stability exercise, it's a very useful dynamic joint mobilization protocol whereby we work through every joint of the body. Next, for our fourth and final preparatory exercise, we have the jump rope, as we can see over here. Your goal is to jump for a minimum of 3 minutes straight, or to do at least 200 jumps. Once we're done with our mobility and stability preparatory work, we're finally ready for the main event, which will either be our 200-meter sprint protocol focused on speed, or our 3-kilometer time trial focused on glycolytic endurance. Now, whether you focus on either speed or endurance, or both, we recommend that at minimum, you commit to at least one running event per week. The simplest and most sustainable 200-meter sprint protocol that we recommend is to do 6 sets of 200-meter sprints. We have found that whether you are relatively fit or unfit, 6 sets seems to be a sweet spot for both maintenance and progress. You will follow a work to rest ratio of 1:5, where if your sprint is 30 seconds, you times that by 5, giving you 2 minutes and 30 seconds of rest. But if you want to keep things simple, just do 3 minutes of rest between each set. We recommend that for your first set, you treat it as a warm-up, so 75% of maximal effort. The second set, 80%. Your third sprint, 85%. Your fourth sprint, 90%. You can see where I'm going with this. The fifth sprint, 95%. And for your last sprint, you want to go all out and maybe even set a new PR. As for our 3-kilometer time trial protocol, as we see here, it's pretty straightforward. Especially if you run only once a week, you only have one goal. And that is, number one, to first set a baseline time. Let's say, for example, you run 3 kilometers in 15 minutes. Your goal is very simple, and that is to beat your previous best score with every subsequent run. So in short, the run complex is a hip spin up followed by a static twist, a total body dynamic joint mobilization protocol, 3 minutes of skipping, and then either a 200-meter sprint or a 3-kilometer time trial.